Sammy Cosentino joining us. We talk NHL, talk CHL, talk Top Prospect. Shane Wright scored early, but Team Red couldn't hold on last night to the lead, falling 3-1 to Team White in the NHL Top Prospects game, CHL NHL game in Kitchener. Jagger Ferguson, Sammy, as you know, of the Moose Jaw Warriors, scoring last night, and they're telling me that they're saying out in Western Canada that Jagger Ferguson was the best player in the game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would concur with that. He was awesome. And I was so happy to get the opportunity to meet the young man in our interviews the day before. And really an open book, told the story that, I want to connect with Jagger before moving forward with it. But, opened up really to a deep personal story. And I was really proud of him for doing that. And yeah, it was kind of weird, Roddy, because, I don't get too emotionally involved in those things, but both of us were crying by the end of it. So it's pretty cool to see him go out there and have the kind of the game he had. But I'd have to agree, showed a lot of jump. He obviously shoots the puck well. I don't think there's anyone in the east side of the Western Hockey League that doesn't know about that. But also picked up an assist. So really happy for the young man.
Good to hear, man. And listen, we could sit and talk about CHL Top Prospect stories forever. I knew the crew that was in the first one. A bunch of friends of mine played in that, and I was saying it earlier about Don Cherry walking into the room. These young donkeys didn't realize Cherry'd ever coached. They couldn't believe how great and motivational he was. Don Cherry, right? Curtis Tippler, Boyd Kane, Derek Morris, Josh Holden. That was the crew. That was awesome. But of all the Top Prospects games you've attended, is there something that stands out to you?
Well, for that one, it sucked because it was the first one in 16 years I didn't get to call. So that was a little bit interesting. When you're so invested into a product and a property like I had been for so long, it was kind of weird to just go there as an onlooker and as part of the media, but not necessarily part of the broadcast team. So that was challenging for sure. But yeah, it was pretty neat. I remember when Steven Stamkos fought. I remember the game that Nick Robertson and Arthur Kaliev were really good. That game in Red Deer, those guys are really good. So there's the odd one that sticks out, but the mind is more directed towards not being able to be in the booth last night, and so that one stung a little bit. But you know what? It's an awesome event. CHL did a great job with it.
They always do, yeah, and that's there is stories of that. But with Jagger Ferguson, Braden Yager's getting all the pub. He broke Theo's record, right, for goals as a rookie. And then there's Bedard. It seems like they're all in the shadow of Bedard out in the WHL, and he's not even draft eligible. So I guess that's what's great about the prospects game, is these guys can go out without that shadow and do their thing.
Yeah, and it is nice. And, there's going to be a lot of talk about the 05 group, which is essentially the 2023 draft, and rightfully so, for the talent that it's going to provide. You get to see guys out there like you're talking about, Jagger and Height out there in the Western League. But in Ontario, there's some really good ones. And even in the Quebec League, I think we're starting to get back to where we're seeing the CHL come into prominence. But because of what's happened the last 2 years in the pandemic, I think the CHL has been impacted the most in terms of what the draft is going to look like, where European teams, for the most part, were able to play a number of games over those couple of years. You look at Ontario, they didn't even get to play last year, so those guys are all a step behind. But, overall, Rod, it's probably going to affect a 4-year cycle worth of players, based on either your final year in minor hockey as in under 16s and then coming into the CHL, and then, missing out a year in your draft minus 1 year, so on and so forth. So I think it will have an impact for a couple of years here, but really looking forward to that 2023 draft with Bedard as the headliner for sure.
They're awake in Winnipeg big time. They're writing in. Tacona in Winnipeg says, come on, Rod, talking CHL. Got to talk ice. 9 in a row on top of the East, soon to be number 1 in the CHL. He goes on to ask Sammy, how about Dick in net or Chuck from BW on YouTube says, is there a place to watch the Prospects game online? They want to talk about Matthew Savoie. And Randy from Winnipeg says the goalies look good too. So, there's a word vomit. Answer them all, Sammy.
Yeah. No, Reed Dick was awesome in goal. And, the Swift Current Broncos, a young and up-and-coming team. They had a couple of guys at the game. Owen Pickering's a guy that they should be really proud of out there, who I think is really an interesting guy. Again, when we got into the interview with him, he was very quick to point out that I was drafted in the same spot as Travis Sanheim back with the Calgary Hitmen. And Sanheim was drafted in the 9th round of the Bantam draft, 177th overall, exact same spot as Owen Pickering. And so Sanheim obviously went on to become a first rounder, 2014, went 17th overall to Philly. And this story is now continued to be written in the National Hockey League. And I think Owen Pickering is on that very same trajectory. So while we were on that Swift note, I wanted to make sure to get that out there. But let's go to the Winnipeg Ice. You know, Connor Geekie is a guy who continues to catch a lot of eyes because when you have those hands and that size, it's not a package that comes often. Every now and then, though, whether he's efforting or not, there are times when it doesn't look like he's efforting, and I think that can be a little bit problematic. He is a good enough skater, probably needs to improve in that area a little bit, but you like to just see him play maybe with a little bit more urgency to give you the impression that there's that max effort every shift. Now, Matthew Savoie, for me, was the guy who popped most in the game. Now, did he have the points like Jagger Ferguson? I think in order to pop and produce, you become player of the game and you become that standout guy. When it comes to Matthew Savoie, though, every time he was on the ice, you noticed him right away. And that's what I saw when I was out in Winnipeg in November, and that's what the Ice fans have been able to see all season long. He's also a guy that in the on-ice testing on Tuesday finished first overall. I think he was first in about 3 or 4 categories, but in the totality of it, was a guy who finished first overall. So really looking forward to watching Matthew kind of continue to rise here. I had him third in my last rankings, Roddy, up a little bit from, I think, 5 or 7 the month before. And I think he's pretty comfortable in that spot right now. And I think by the end of the year, depending on what the Ice are able to do playoff-wise, how deep they're able to go, you know, maybe he's a guy that we're looking at to get in the conversation to challenge Shane Wright for number 1. But really, really awesome to see him pop in the game last night.
Sammy, you're a TV guy. We have 60 seconds. You know what that means. And the viewers are all over you about your Leafs hat, which I think is actually a Blue Jays hat. And they want to know your thoughts on Auston. Yeah, and they want to know your thoughts on the Bieber jersey and also on what the Leafs did at the trade deadline. Boom.
Yeah, it's great to have that partnership with Justin Bieber. I think anytime he touches something, it raises awareness. And so if it's awareness for the Maple Leafs for the game in general, I think that's a good thing. Auston Matthews, to me, best player in the National Hockey League right now. He's learned to transition all of those great offensive skills onto the defensive side of the puck and being away from the puck. So he's using a good quick stick to strip guys. He's using that speed to catch up to guys. He's using his size and strength to close people out and get pucks turned over. I think he's the best player in the game right now. I really do. He's that effective. And when it comes to what happened in trade deadline, I think that was the last part of the question. I don't know. Be interesting to see what Minnesota does now that they were still able to maintain a lot of their picks in this year's draft, yet still add guys like Fleury and Delorier. Should be a lot of fun to watch them. Anything else in 10 seconds, Rod?
I think that's good. You got it all. Well, the Habs, they want to know in 10 seconds, what do you think what the Habs did?
Arbor Jack guy is a guy to watch. The Habs continue to acquire picks. It's kind of starting from scratch over there. So it's good that they got Caulfield going again. Suzuki looks at the top of his game, and I know you need to get to the beach.
Absolutely. Sammy, I think the world of you. You know that. I'm watching you every day down here. Keep up the great work. Thanks for the time.
Who loves you, Roddy? Enjoy your time. Take care.
The great Sam Cosentino. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.